Do you remember your very first 45? So, you remember these? 8-tracks. They used to be like portable music in your car. My very first 8-track was Elvis Costello. In fact, it's the only one I ever bought. What about one of these? Do you remember cassettes? They were so cool, weren't they? Until they got jammed to the cassette player and spooled all out. But hey, the cassette. Do you remember your very first one? Or do you remember these? Yeah, nothing but good old vinyl. Now, this is the upgraded versions of what we used to buy when we were kids, but these are just a little bit better in quality. Do you remember the very first album you ever bought? What about these? Of course, I remember the very first CD I ever bought. It wasn't Nashville, great show, but I think my very first CD was Elton John, The Greatest Hits Volume Number 1. Do you remember your very first CD? Hi there. You know what? Everybody's music collection has been inspired by someone. Whether it be your big brother or sister, mom and dad, or a friend. Me, myself, and I, it was more like my mom and my dad. Even though it took me a while to get into my father's music, my mom's music was a little bit of rock and roll. My dad, jazz, big band. Okay, a little bit later on in life, I grew to appreciate that kind of music. But my mom, The Doors, Bread, CCR, the list goes on and on and on. That's who influenced my record collection. And do you remember the very first record you ever bought? The record. It came in 45, 78, and of course 33 RPM. My very first record was this one right here, Elton John. Remember going to see him in Calgary, and he signed an 8x10, and then I got it all framed up, my very first 45, Elton John, Philadelphia Freedom. And the story behind this record is I sold this record once to my best buddy. In fact, we traded. He really wanted the 45, and I thought I kind of wanted Eric Clapton. But you know what? I'm glad I reacquired this one, because that's my very first 45 ever. Do you remember your very first 45? Do you remember your very first album? My very first album was Bachman Turner Overdrive, Not Fragile, from 1974, one of the biggest selling albums not only here in Canada, but south of the border. And this one, I got it signed by all the members of the band, which is pretty cool. So, down below on our blog, tell me what your first 45, album, cassette, 8-track, or maybe MP3 was. This has been the Chat 94.5 FM Music Blog.